It was a chilly evening in downtown Chicago. The streets buzzed with the usual rush hour chaos. Cars honking, pedestrians hurrying, and streetlights flickering against the dimming sky. At a busy intersection, a young homeless girl stood shivering on the sidewalk. Her clothes were tattered, her face smudged with dirt, but her eyes were sharp and alert. As the traffic light turned red, she suddenly lifted her hand and pointed straight at a sleek black sedan idling at the front of the line. Her expression was urgent, almost desperate. Nearby, two police officers on patrol noticed her gesture and exchanged a glance. Something about the way she pointed made them act without hesitation. The officers moved fast. Officer Daniels, a veteran with 15 years on the force, instinctively reached for his radio while his partner, Officer Carter, stepped toward the girl. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" Carter asked, crouching slightly to meet her eye level. The girl's lips trembled. "That car," she whispered, barely audible over the city's noise. "Something's wrong. He looked at me, and..." She hesitated, as if afraid to say more. Daniels, now fully alert, studied the black sedan. The driver, a middle-aged man with a stiff posture, gripped the wheel tightly, staring straight ahead. His knuckles were white. Something was off. Carter spoke calmly into his radio. "Dispatch, we need a plate check on a black sedan. Illinois tag 5XG. Before she could finish, the car lurched forward. The light was still red, but the driver had made his move. "Hey, stop!" Daniels shouted, breaking into a sprint as the sedan peeled away, tires screeching. Carter grabbed the girl's arm protectively, pulling her back from the curb. The child gasped, watching the vehicle vanish down the street. Daniels had already jumped into the squad car, sirens blaring, engine roaring to life. "We're in pursuit," he barked into the radio. Carter turned back to the girl. "Why did you point at that car? Who was in there?" Tears welled up in her eyes. There's someone in the trunk." Carter's blood ran cold. Carter's heart pounded. "Are you sure?" she asked, gripping the girl's shoulders gently but firmly. The girl nodded frantically. "I saw him. When the car stopped, the trunk was open just a little. Someone inside was trying to push it up, but then he looked at me and he slammed it shut." Carter didn't waste another second. She grabbed her radio. "Dispatch, we have a possible abduction. Suspect fleeing in a black sedan, heading east on Monroe. Officer Daniels in pursuit. Requesting backup. Priority 1. The response was immediate. "Copy that, units en route." Carter turned back to the girl. "Did you see anything else? The driver, do you know him?" The girl shook her head. "No, but I saw his eyes. They were angry and scared." Meanwhile, Daniels tore through traffic, his squad car weaving between vehicles as the sedan sped ahead. The suspect was reckless, blowing past stop signs, nearly clipping a delivery truck. The chase had just begun, but Daniels knew it wouldn't last long. Chicago PD had eyes everywhere. Up ahead, another squad car skidded into position at the next intersection. The sedan had nowhere to go. But then screech! The black car swerved hard, making an impossible turn into a narrow alley. Daniels cursed and followed, his tires screeching on the pavement. The alley was dark, lined with dumpsters and fire escapes. The suspect was desperate. Daniels floored it. Just as he was closing in, the sedan took a sharp left and disappeared. "Damn it!" he hissed. He slammed the brakes, jumping out of the car. The alley was empty. No sign of the sedan. No sign of the driver. Just the eerie hum of the city behind him. And then a faint sound. A thud. A muffled cry. Daniels turned toward the source, his hand hovering over his holster. The noise was coming from a rusted dumpster at the end of the alley. He stepped closer. Another thump. Someone was inside. Daniels reached for the lid, his pulse hammering. He lifted it, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Daniel's breath hitched as he stared into the dumpster. A boy, no older than 10, lay curled up inside, bound at the wrists with duct tape, his face streaked with tears and grime, his wide, terrified eyes locked onto Daniel's. He tried to speak, but his mouth was gagged. "Jesus," Daniels muttered, immediately reaching down. "It's okay. Kid, I got you." Carefully, he lifted the boy out of the dumpster, his small body trembling violently. With quick, practiced movements, Daniels ripped the tape from his wrists and pulled the gag from his mouth. The boy gasped, sucking in deep, desperate breaths. He's coming back," he choked out. "He said if I screamed, he'd—" His voice broke. Daniels tightened his grip on the boy protectively, scanning the alley. "Not on my watch, kid." He grabbed his radio. "Dispatch, I have a recovered child, male, approximately 10 years old. Possible abduction victim. I lost sight of the suspect. I need EMS and more units at my location now." "Copy that. Officers en route." Daniels turned back to the boy. "What's your name?" The child's lips trembled. "Ethan." "Okay, Ethan. You're safe now. But I need to know, who did this to you? Who was driving that car?" Ethan's breath shuddered. He turned his head, glancing toward the shadows of the alley. His eyes darted, as if afraid the man was still lurking nearby. Then, barely above a whisper, he said, "My teacher." Daniels felt a cold chill creep up his spine. Before he could ask more, the sound of screeching tires echoed at the alley's entrance. He spun around just in time to see the black sedan again. Only this time it wasn't fleeing. It was coming straight for them. Daniels barely had time to react. "Move!" he shouted, grabbing Ethan and diving behind a dumpster as the sedan roared past, missing them by inches. The vehicle skidded violently before disappearing once more into the night. Daniels clutched Ethan tightly, his heart hammering in his chest. This wasn't just some random kidnapping. This was personal. And whoever was behind it wasn't done yet. Daniel's breath was ragged as he shielded Ethan behind the dumpster. His mind raced. That driver, Ethan's teacher, wasn't just running. He was hunting. Sirens howled in the distance. Backup was closing in, but Daniels knew they were running out of time. The suspect had already slipped away once. He couldn't let it happen again. "Ethan, listen to me." Daniels knelt to meet the boy's terrified gaze. "Do you know his name? The man who took you?" Ethan swallowed hard. Mr. Calloway. He's my history teacher." Daniels clenched his jaw. That name meant nothing to him, but it would in a few minutes. He grabbed his radio. Dispatch, I need a full background check on a Mr. Calloway. First name unknown, history teacher, possible connection to child abductions. Cross-check missing persons reports, too. The radio crackled. Copy that, Officer Daniels. Stand by. Just then, Carter came sprinting into the alley, her eyes darting from Daniels to the shaking boy. Jesus, you okay? Daniels nodded. Kid says the suspect is his teacher. He just tried to run us down. Carter's face darkened. Then he's getting desperate. Daniels turned back to Ethan. Do you know why he took you? Ethan hesitated. Then, in a trembling voice, he whispered, I wasn't the first. A heavy silence hung between them. Daniels felt a pit form in his stomach. What do you mean? Ethan squeezed his hands into fists. There was another kid. A girl. She was in his trunk when he grabbed me. His voice cracked. She was crying, begging. But when he stopped at the red light, she went quiet. Daniels felt a wave of nausea. He stood abruptly, radioing in. We have another possible victim, an unidentified girl. Suspect may still have her. Carter swore under her breath. We have to find that car. Before Daniels could respond, the radio crackled to life. Officer Daniels, we got something on Calloway. You're gonna want to hear this. Daniels gritted his teeth. Go ahead. There was a pause. Then, he resigned from teaching 3 months ago, disappeared. But get this, his wife reported their daughter missing 2 weeks later. Daniels and Carter exchanged a sharp look. That's our girl, Carter murmured. Daniels tightened his grip on Ethan's shoulder. Ethan, do you remember anything about where he took you? Anything at all? Ethan's face twisted in thought. It was dark, cold, smelled weird, like old water, and I heard seagulls. Daniel's pulse quickened. Seagulls. Water. That could only mean one thing. The docks, Carter said, reading his mind. Daniels didn't waste another second. Let's move. As they rushed toward the patrol car, Ethan's small voice stopped them. Wait. They turned back. The boy's eyes were full of fear, but also something else. Determination. He's not going to stop, Ethan said. Not until he gets me back. Daniels and Carter exchanged a glance. Ethan wasn't just a victim. He was the bait. Daniels tightened his grip on the steering wheel as the squad car sped toward the docks, the flashing red and blue lights reflecting off the wet pavement. Carter sat beside him, her jaw clenched, while Ethan huddled in the back seat, gripping his seatbelt. You don't have to do this, kid, Carter said, glancing at him in the rearview mirror. Ethan shook his head. If he thinks he still has control, he'll come to me. That's the only way to stop him. Daniels didn't like it, but the boy was right. Calloway was desperate, and desperate men made mistakes. As they neared the docks, the scent of salt water filled the air. Rusted shipping containers lined the area, casting long, eerie shadows under the dim glow of overhead lamps. The place was nearly deserted at this hour except for one car. A black sedan, parked at the edge of the dock. Daniels killed the engine. Carter, take the left. I'll go right. Stay low. She nodded, drawing her weapon. Daniels turned to Ethan. You stay here no matter what. Got it? Ethan hesitated but nodded. Daniel stepped out, his gun drawn. The only sound was the lapping of waves against the dock. He moved cautiously, keeping low behind a row of crates. Carter mirrored his movements from the other side. Then, a noise, a trunk slamming shut. Daniel's heart pounded. A figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, gaunt, with hollow eyes and a wild, twitching expression. Calloway. He clutched something, a key fob, a gun, and a bundle of rope. Daniels stepped forward. Calloway, it's over. The man froze, his head jerking toward Daniels. Then slowly he smiled. You're wrong, Calloway said, his voice eerily calm. It's just beginning. He pressed the key fob. The sedan's trunk popped open slightly, just enough for Daniels to glimpse a small figure inside. A girl. Daniel's blood ran cold. She's still alive. Calloway took a slow step back, glancing toward the water. Daniels knew what was coming. He wasn't going to run. He was going to jump. Carter appeared from the side. Drop the gun, Calloway. Calloway laughed. A chilling, hollow sound. You don't understand, do you? Some things can't be undone. Then, in one swift motion, he grabbed the girl from the trunk and yanked her toward the edge of the dock. Daniels reacted instantly. Don't! The girl screamed as Calloway tightened his grip. The water below was dark and deep. If they went in, they might never come back up. For a moment, time stood still. Then, a voice shattered the tension. Mr. Calloway. Calloway stiffened. He turned. Ethan stood just outside the squad car, staring at his former teacher. You don't have to do this, he said. His voice was shaking, but his eyes were steady. Calloway hesitated. Ethan took a step forward. You let me go. Let her go, too. Daniels held his breath. The moment stretched. Calloway's grip loosened. His wild gaze flickered, uncertain. And then Carter moved. In a blur, she tackled Calloway to the ground, wrenching the girl from his grasp. The child tumbled backward into Daniel's arms, gasping in shock. Calloway fought, thrashing wildly, but Carter had him pinned. It's over, she growled, slapping cuffs onto his wrists. The sirens grew louder as more squad cars flooded the docks. Officers rushed in, securing the scene. Daniels knelt beside the girl. You're safe now, he whispered. She clung to him, sobbing. Nearby, Ethan stood frozen, staring at Calloway as officers hauled him to his feet. Calloway's head turned ever so slightly, his lips parting as if he wanted to speak. But Ethan didn't need to hear it. He turned away. Daniels placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. You did good, kid. Ethan let out a shaky breath. It's over, right? Daniels looked at Calloway, now a prisoner. His reign of terror finally ended. Yeah, he said. It's over. The wind blew through the docks, carrying away the last remnants of the nightmare. For Ethan, for the rescued girl, and for everyone Calloway had hurt, the long night had finally ended. And as the first light of dawn crept over the city, so did the promise of a new beginning.